Hi, this is Steve Denny, Alvechurch Club Secretary. I've put together this short video to demonstrate how, as player registration officers, you need to register your players on the whole game system. So first of all, you obviously need to have a login account to the whole game system. So if you haven't got one, create one and a password, and then once you have those details, you log into the whole game system and click login to log in. Now, as club secretary, I've got access to the club secretary details here. As the player registration officer, I don't know, but I guess you will see a tab here called player registrations or something. If not, then on the left hand side here you should see the player registrations. So I'm clicking into the club secretary account here, and I can see all the things that I have access to as club secretary, one of which is player registrations. So if I click on the player registration there, what I see is a list of all of the players that are currently registered with the football club on the whole game system. Note, this does not necessarily mean they're actually registered or associated with any team. They're just registered to the club on the whole game system. So to associate players to a team, first thing you need to do is to find the player, and first of all you need to check whether they're registered to the club on the whole game system. So for example, if I check for a player, maybe Ben Cassidy, then I can see that Ben is registered to the club. But then what I need to do to associate him to a team is to actually select him here, and then you'll see the options at the top. So if I assign Ben to a team now using this option here, then I get a list of all of the teams that Ben can be associated to. So I could associate him to the first team. In this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to associate him to the under 18s Midland Floodlit Youth League Premier South team, which is Dean's team. So if I select the team there, then I'm going to add the player to selected team. And it's as simple as that. Now, to view the players that are associated with the team, again from this page here, you can see the filter options here. So if I select on a particular team, and in this case all the teams that are registered on our whole game system should be listed here, and somewhere down the bottom here is the under 18 Academy Midland Floodlit Youth League Premier South. So if I go into that, then you can see the players that are currently registered to the Floodlit Premier South. Now Ben is the one I've just added, so he now appears here, but there are other players appearing in this list here, presumably from left over from last year. Now obviously, if some of those players have been retained and are being used in the Premier South team for this year, then that's all well and good. However, if they're not, then we need to clean them up and get rid of them by clicking on that and removing them from team. Yeah, so that's the first thing you need to do, is to check players exist as a club member and then add them to appropriate team. Now, if I actually wanted to add another player to a team that isn't actually registered as a club member at the moment, then what I could do here is, again, because I've got the filter on Alvechurch Midland Floodlit, so again, if I filter this on team, so any team, and I filter on Munden, I can see that there's no data, so there's no player by the name of Munden currently registered on the whole game system. So what I need to do is I need to use this search for a player option. So if I search for a player, then what I can do is search for a particular player. So you need two pieces of information to do this. You need their first name and surname, and you need their date of birth. So in this case, I'm going to search for Ethan Munden, and his date of birth I know is the 4th of February 2003. So I'll select 4th of February 2003 and use a search. Now this will find anyone in the database, not our club database, but anybody in the national database with those details. So as you can see, it's found Ethan, and his current club is Hallis Hawks Junior. So what I'm going to do is to add Ethan now to our club's whole game system. So first of all, I click the add player. What I'm now going to do is say the current club details are wrong, let me update these, and I'm going to continue, and I'm going to put Alpha Church here as well. Click validate and click add player. Now by doing that, Ethan has now been added to the club's database. So if I go back to the player registration and now select or search on Munden, yeah, I'll now see Ethan exists as a club member. However, if I drill into Ethan, I can see that there are no teams associated with Ethan. So what I need to do now is to associate Ethan to a team, and I do that now in exactly the same way as I did with Ben. So I find Ethan again, select him here and assign him to a team. Okay, his gender has a bit, so I'm just going to select male here and go through the same thing. So assign to team. Yeah. Now again, I can search or filter by particular teams if there's a load of teams. So I'm just searching on Midland Floodlit Youth League. So I can either add him to the Premier South squad here, or I could add him to Sean Hayes' Southern League squad here. What I'm going to do is just add him to Dean's. Dean squad there. So now when I select and filter on the Floodlit Youth Premier League South, I've now got Ethan as a player registered and associated with that team. The final thing you need to do as part of the league requirements is to make sure that any league registration requirements are completed. So anything they need in terms of data information is completed. But what I would then do, if I was happy with all of the players, I've deselected and got rid of the ones that are no longer with the team. What I could do is select all, yeah, and then submit to the league by clicking this option here, and that would then submit the request to the league to approve those registrations. And that concludes this short video on how to register players on the whole game system.